All right, good evening, everybody. Okay, hold on. I can hear it really good. All right, now, can y'all hear me better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Ladies Lounge with Wonder Lowe. I'm your host, Wonder Lowe, and the creator of the Ladies Lounge. Just a couple of housekeeping things. If you've never watched our show before, or you've never been a guest, or you've never tuned in, make sure that you go over to our page and like us. We're at the Ladies Lounge Wonder Lowe on Facebook. We're also the Ladies Lounge Wonder Lowe on Instagram and on our YouTube channel. Trying to build that channel up a little bit, trying to get some subscribers. So if you haven't already done so, please hop over and subscribe to that channel for us. Tonight we have a great show and we have some great guests on. I hope you all can hear us because I can hear feedback. I don't know if it's me or not. That we have a great show for you all set up. We have a great topic that we're going to be discussing. So we want to make sure that you all stay tuned in. If you can, go ahead and start your watch parties and go over to watch. Participate in the conversation. You can leave comments for us. So yes, to see your comments. If you'll do those little, put over in the comment section for us. If the guests would like to add some comments, you can do that also. If you have a question tonight, please feel free to post that question, and if we have time, we'll get to it for you. If not, then we'll always make sure that you can answer before the show is over, or after the show is over. You can just check back on the page and check us out again. So, real quick, you gotta do the housekeeping stuff like I said. October is the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I'm wearing just a little bit of pink. Y'all can't really see me, just a little bit of pink in my scarf tonight. But we want to make sure that we tell people about getting their breast exams done. So I'm going to read just a little bit of the PSA for you. In Arkansas, it is estimated that 2,400 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer and 410 women will die from this disease. Early signs of breast cancer can be detected by a mammogram. Some symptoms may include thickening, swelling, distortion, tenderness, redness, skin irritation of the breast, painless mass surrounding the breast, and nipple abnormalities such as ulcerations, retraction, or discharge. Now, if you have an issues before you even go get your mammogram, please go to your doctor. Let them know that you're having those symptoms that could be a sign of breast cancer, or it could be something else that's going on. But make sure that this month, above all things, that we do get those tests done. And ladies, not just girls, but men too, because breast cancer is coming to men also. And I don't think a lot of people ever think about that. If you want to know statistics about breast cancer, you can check out Arkansas Cancer Society Cancer Facts and Figures for 2020. It is important to have a new breast cancer. If you have any breast cancer, lumps, or breast changes, checked by a healthcare professional experienced in diagnosing breast diseases. For those who have a financial barrier, Breast Care is a program that offers no-cost screening and diagnostic services for eligible women in Arkansas. And you can always go and check and see if you're eligible for breast care program for the breast care program at healthy.arkansas.org. Go make sure that you check it out, that you look at breast care services, make sure that you check your eligibility there, and if you are, you can go ahead and get your mammogram done. So just remember that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and National Mammography Day is October 16th. So if you can get it scheduled by then, fine. If you get it scheduled any day after that, just as long as you get it scheduled. So make sure you go and get those checkups, ladies. And men, if there's a woman in your life that you love, make sure that she's scheduled that checkup, and it won't hurt if you go with her and get yours done too. So just want to put that in there because it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we want to make sure that we're doing our level best to inform people and educate people about their health as well as all the other topics. So I said that, and I got finished in. Y'all, believe it or not, I actually try to talk for the first 15 minutes of the show, and it very seldom works out that way because I start talking fast and I quick. But anyway, let's see. I need to, like I say, and kill about 10 minutes here, and I'm not going to do that. But thank you all so much for tuning in each week and keeping up with the show and supporting me and supporting our guests. I've had some wonderful people on, and it's so funny that I've known Tony was tonight for a while, and I've heard of him before, but this is the first time we're actually meeting face to face, so to speak. I appreciate both of them taking time out of their busy schedules today and joining me tonight. So, without further ado, since I want to make sure that they talk as much as possible about our topics tonight, let me just kind of give you a precursor to what we're going to be discussing. Now, as you can see, the topic of the show tonight is the importance of voting and exercising our civic duty. One of the reasons I want to do this show particularly is we're on the cusp of the biggest election in our lifetime. And I guess everybody else is saying, well, we've always had a big election. Not quite like this one. This one is going to be the one that determines how our kids and our grandkids and their kids are going to go through life, or for the rest of their life and the rest of ours. And we want to make sure that we're informed, we're educated, that we understand the candidates, we understand the issues, that we understand how to make sure we vote, where we go, how to vote, every single thing. I will be driving this for the next couple of weeks. You'll see a lot of shows about voting and getting in line and setting in line and social distancing and everything else, because we have got to make a difference this time. We have to make sure that our voices are heard. And I felt like I couldn't find two better people to talk about this because of the drive that they've had, because of the activities they've been able to do, and the way they've been able to lead us. I wanted two people that I knew speak very well. Not only just the importance of us voting, but speaking to our civic duty also. So I wish I had a drum roll.
No, we don't need a drum roll.
Introduce my guest.
No drum roll needed.
I say your name right, because I'll mess up a name in a minute. Kamara?
Okay. Kamara Seals.
Kamara Seals, got it. Ms. Kamara Seals is a proud undergraduate of the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff and strongly believes in supporting her alma mater. For years, she's been working as a staffer in Congress. She fought for funding opportunities for HBCUs nationwide. She is the policy director of a nonprofit, the Arkansas Public Policy Panel, which was established in 1963 and addresses social and economic justice issues. She is part of a team of people who have created public policy, but also fighting against policy that is bad for Arkansas. Kamara has been involved in social justice issues and engaged in civil activities since the young age of 9. She has worked on the national staff of the NAACP to register, educate, and mobilize voters to the polls based upon policy issues. She is a life member of the Political Action Chair, life member and Political Action Chair with the PB branch NAACP. After the murder of George Floyd, and in response to the national outcry against police brutality, she created a group called Pine Bluff Social Justice Activists, and they have been active in the community and is in the process of a long-term strategic planning to address issues of injustice and examine what equity should look like in the city. Kamara loves her family dearly, but the apple of her eye is her 5-year-old grandson, Carter. Earlier.
You heard from Carter earlier.
You turn me up some. I can hear y'all now. Okay, now.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking our time.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. And I have to introduce Pastor. I got to make sure I say Pastor. Tony is a community leader and has many roles. So this is truly, y'all, I promise y'all, Tony is one of the busiest people I've ever met in my entire life. Currently, he serves as pastor of New Birth International Ministries in Little Rock. He has been a labor and community organizer for a local nonprofit for the past 10 years. Tony also works with Facebook International and travels to numerous countries to help organize communities. He serves as the president and chairman of the board of KBF 88.3 radio station in Little Rock. Pastor Tony has been married to his wife Kendra for over 20 years and has 5 children and 3 grandchildren. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. I am so glad both of y'all for joining me tonight. So we're going to jump right in because
awesome.
We'll make sure that y'all get to say as much as y'all want. Do y'all want to add anything to your introduction?
Well, I would like to add one thing. I always like to share my roots, and I'm from Hamburg. And Hamburg is very near and dear to my heart. That's where it all started for me, born and raised there. And my mother and father are gone on to glory, but I have aunts and cousins and lots of family still there. So And we're still taxpayers there, and try to be involved in our community. So I want to send a shout out to Hamburg. And I live in Pine Bluff. I don't know if I said that. I've worked in Little Rock for 20 years, a little more. And I'm very involved in Little Rock and the community in Little Rock. But I'm equally as involved in my town where I currently live is in Pine Bluff, which I've lived here all of my adult life. So I'm just glad to be here. It's a pleasure meeting you. And I appreciate you reaching out. I don't know how you found me, but I appreciate you reaching out. And anytime I'm asked to talk about voting or our civic duty to vote, the importance of voting, I'm all over it. So, I'm just glad to be a part of this conversation on this evening. And I hope it will be informative to your listeners, and that, we just encourage people, motivate and inspire them to go vote and take all of their family and loved ones with them. Because this is an important election. This is probably one of the most important, most critical elections of my lifetime. And we say that every election, but it is true because there's so much riding on this election. So later in the show, I know we have questions and there's a format, so I don't want to overspeak right now, but I do want to make sure we talk about elections all up and down the ballot.
Yes, ma'am. So, definitely. Definitely. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Pastor?
Well, once again, thank you for allowing me to come on tonight. It's an understatement when you say I'm one of the busiest people. I'm always busy doing something. But one thing that I need for people to understand, I spent part of my childhood in Chicago, Illinois, on the South Side, growing up in the Ida B. Wells projects. Then I spent part of my life, childhood, on the west side of Pine Bluff, 13th and Gum. And my grandmother, what drives me in community organizing and being an activist, when Acorn was formed in Arkansas, my grandmother was one of the founding members of the Pine Bluff chapter. And I never forget, she was in her late 60s, early 70s. And I used to always make fun of them. I used to always call them nuts, them acorn nuts. Yeah, because what they wanted was to have 13th Street paved. There was big ditches on the side of 13th Street back in the day. And, when it rained, we would actually go out and play in the ditches and, everything. But my grandmother wanted those streets paved. There was like a dirt road, Gum Street, and they wanted that paved. And this group of elderly ladies would go down to the city council meetings, and they would push, and they would push, and they would push. They wouldn't give up. They kept pushing. We thought they were crazy, but they kept pushing. And she taught me the importance of voting. She taught me the importance of standing up and fight for your rights. She said a closed mouth would never get fed. And I saw my grandmother get fed. I saw them, not only pave the road, but put in better drainage in the roads, put in, the side roads, they paved them. And for those of you who may remember the west side of Pine Bluff in the 70s, it was unheard of to see a paved road, but they worked so hard to get that done. So that's what power does. That's true power. The power always relies on the people. And so it is our civic duty. And I do agree with you, Ms. Seals and Ms. Lowe. This election is more important to me than the election, Abraham Lincoln's re-election during the midst of the Civil War, because we are in the midst of a war right now. And this with this election, the next 50 years are riding on this election, because we already know the court is going to be changed for the next 50 years. So if we don't get the legislators in that's going to make the right decision for us, it's really going to affect us in a lot of ways. So thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you all. You know what? Since y'all both addressed that same thing, let's go ahead and just jump straight to that, making sure that we vote in all elections.
Right.
I'm sorry, y'all, about that feedback, because I can hear it. I don't know where it's coming from.
Yeah, I can hear it too. I don't know where it's coming from, but yeah.
Well, if I was at church, I say it's just the enemy trying to stop a good conversation to change the minds of a lot of people.
You know, win tonight.
We will be heard.
We will not be winning tonight.
We're going to be heard tonight.
All right, amen. Okay, let's jump straight into that voting in all elections. One of the things that I've heard people say over the years, well, it doesn't matter if I don't vote in the local election. It doesn't matter if I don't vote at the state level, as long as I vote at the federal. Let's talk a little bit about how important it is to vote at every single level for all elections across the board.
Okay, you want me to start?
Go. Take off.
Okay. Well, it is critically important that we pay attention to our local elections. There's a political saying, a cliche, if you will, that all politics are local. That is true, okay? We must be engaged at the local level. We have to pay attention to what's happening with our school boards. We have to pay attention to the decisions that school board people who've been elected are making. We must pay attention. Our quorum courts, justice of the peace, our aldermen, our city aldermen, that's our local government. That is crucial to what you just heard Pastor Tony talk about, is the work that his grandmother did, and all of the ladies that were part of Acorn. What they were doing, they were organizing. Organized people have power. Those governments can have the authority to do things, but it's the people who have the power. That starts at the local level, okay? And when you get people coming together for a cause that, let's say, a government entity, a municipal government has made a bad decision that is not in the best interest of its people that it serves, the way you get that turned around are the people. That's where the power is. And we've seen that even in obviously in the community I live in. We've seen that. We've had examples of that. And when the people speak out, things change. So we need to be involved from the beginning. We need to make sure we know who we're voting for. And one of the things I'm striving for is to see a more informed electorate. Okay, know who they are, know what they stand for. When you vote them in, hold them accountable. Now, that's one of the things we've really got to do some work on, is that accountability piece. It doesn't matter if you've known them for 10, 20, 30 years. That has nothing to do with it. We're talking about doing the work of the people, and we're talking about being accountable for those votes. And because it impacts us daily, ordinances and that type of legislation, it impacts us. Even at the state level, we've got to pay attention to who we're electing to represent us in the state house and the state senate. Those elections are very, very important, and all elections. So and I know right now the big topic is the federal election. Okay, president is the big election for our country right now. But and I think we're on the right path there. People are voting in droves, and I think we're going to have a much better turnout than we had the last election. But I'll stop there because I don't want to just keep going. But yeah, local elections are very important.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll come back later and talk about the federal election.
I was getting fired up listening to you.
No, I got to share this time here.
But you are so true. I'll never forget some years ago, one of our U.S. congressmen, I was talking to him one day, and he told me, I know what's best for the people of Arkansas. I know what's best for my district. And I asked him, when was the last time you was at my house? When was the last time you was at my school? When was the last time you had dinner with me? So how do you know what's best for me and you don't know me? And that's why local elections are so important.
That's right.
Because you are dealing with people that you know. And to be honest with you, and Wanda has been with me at some rallies and actions, and I have a saying. I would tell any elected official, you work for me. I'm your employer. And so how can you tell the employer, as an employee, what's best or what you want to say? I hired you basically by my vote, and then I'm paying you. So I'm not going to pay you to mistreat me. I'm not going to pay you to misrepresent me. So we have to have that mentality, because if you're not going to look out for me, then I have to fire you. I have to get rid of you and hire somebody that can. We fail to realize that the amount of power we have, and once we start to understand that, I think that's where it's moving. That's why they do all the voter suppression, the voter purges. They do all this to keep the power out of the hands of the people.
Right.
But, and when you start to look at certain things, like you said, Ms. Seals, you look at your alderman, you look at your land commissioner or your county clerk. You look at these people and they're making decisions, and then you look up and say, well, how does that affect me? How does a county clerk affect me in my neighborhood? Well, they're the ones that have to validate the elections. They're the ones that are in charge of the purges. They're the ones that are in charge of certain things. And if you put the wrong person in there, who is not looking out for your best interest, then you suffer. And so we have to get to this point that we have to take the power back. And you start by voting. You start by getting out, learning. And one of the greatest things that you could do is, I love to go to candidate forums. And I like to vet. I want to vet that person.
Right.
You want my vote, but more importantly, I have to pay you. And if you're doing a bad job, I still have to pay you.
Right.
I don't like that. Your mayors who pick and chooses police commissioners, fire commissioners. So I'm gonna vote for you as mayor. You're gonna select a police chief who turns around and abuses me in my own neighborhood, and I pay you for that. I think there's something wrong with that. And so we just have to do a better job of vetting our candidates, but we have to do a better job of making sure that they are accountable, making sure that they are responsible, but more importantly, and here's the thing now we have to understand, we got to make sure these elected officials have some type of integrity and character.
Right.
In a lack of a better word, we have some fools running our local and federal government.
Right.
And we have to get away from that. We have to get people that will, not only understand the needs of the people, but have the will to do what the people need.
Right. So, I wanted to also say, and I hope, I'm not really for sure who your audience here, because this is my first time, but diverse audience. Okay. I want to make sure we inspire people to go to the polls. And I imagine probably most of your audience is probably voters. I would imagine, because this is information. You hope that they will. But, right. But the challenge, I think, is that they be responsible for other people. Because, let me say that we're living in tough times right now. Okay, we're living in tough times. And Pastor Tony, I think, said when he was coming on, it's almost like we're in a war zone. It's almost like a war zone. We do have a lot of, with the police brutality that's been happening around the country. We've had protests. There have been riots. We're fighting for justice. We're fighting for equity. we're seeing progress. We are seeing some progress. There are police departments across the nation who've banned the chokehold and the stranglehold. We've seen that in Pine Bluff. Our police chief has done that. Issued a special order where they couldn't use that. The duty to intervene, where police have the duty if they see another coworker cop, doing something that's wrong, they have a duty to intervene. So we're living in tough times. We're in the middle of a global pandemic. Okay. People are losing their jobs. They are losing their homes. They're not able to pay rent. People are being evicted. Now I'm talking just in Arkansas. This is happening across the nation, but I'm talking in Arkansas. I just read the September report for evictions in the state of Arkansas.
Yes.
And we're fighting. There's work to be done, but it's just heartbreaking to see a lot of these just heartless landlords who aren't working with people who've lost their jobs. Okay. We're in this global pandemic. Children aren't able to go to school. Some parents can't work because they have to stay home and take care of the kids. They don't want to send them out to the school because of the virus. You're seeing, in households, you have 1, 2, and 3 generations living together. So you don't want to send the young ones out to possibly bring it home to their grandmother, But we, things like that is happening. And so for some people, voting right now is just not at the top of their list. That's just not, we have people that are struggling to survive. We have food banks all across Arkansas, and all across the nation, but I'm talking specifically about Arkansas, that have had to increase obviously their intake of food, having more fundraisers, just to keep up with the pace, because more families are needing these services, And in the middle of all of this, we have a Congress who is fighting over
whether or not they're talking about it.
Confirming a Supreme Court justice, Now, that's important, and that is part of their responsibility. And I understand it is the president who appoints and it's Congress who confirms, but the timing couldn't be worse, And so when people look at this, people are hurting, people are hungry, people are dying of this disease. I just got over COVID. I'm still getting over COVID. I'm not out in the public, but it's scary. There were some really scary moments for me, but I have a great support system, but think about those people who go through it, who don't have those support systems. We lost our grandmother the end of April. We buried her May 1st, so there's a lot. And these are issues families are having to deal with. The mental health issues are real. We see people who are dying by suicide and they don't report on that. Okay. And I know we're still talking about civic engagement, but all of these issues play into where we are today. Okay. And we know that, like I was saying, there's an uptick in people who are dying by suicide, and it is so sad. It is so heartbreaking. But people are losing hope. While the people we've elected to Congress are instead of back and forth trying to figure out what the next COVID relief package is going to look like to help families put food on the table and keep a roof over their heads. We're trying to hurry and rush to confirm a Supreme Court justice nominee. That really should wait, that's my opinion, to after the election. So see a lot of hypocrisy. We've seen Lindsey Graham and statements that others made when President Obama was in office and Justice Scalia passed away. And so we saw how they treated him, and his nominee didn't even get confirmation. Get hearings. And it was months, 8 months before the election. So, we're tired of the hypocrisy. I feel a change is in the air, but we need to be responsible for taking our people to the polls. Like I said, all of us probably watching this broadcast, we're all going. Let's make sure our family and our friends, let's talk to them, let's encourage them. Some people don't have transportation to the polls.
Exactly.
Let's provide that. But like I said, we're in the environment of COVID. We've got to be extra careful. And so I know it's a little late to be talking about absentee ballots, but you can still, there's still time. If you absolutely cannot get to vote early, you can still do an absentee ballot. So let me just pause there, because I let me tell you something. It's in my DNA to talk.
That's all of us from Southeast Arkansas.
My granddaddy, I'm a heel by birth. And my granddaddy used to talk and talk and talk. And my mama talked and talked and talked. So it's in my DNA, and y'all, I get fired up when I'm talking about this. But I'm real passionate about it. And I just think our priorities as a nation is out of whack. I think our priorities at this time. So we need new leadership. We need y'all vote. We need new leadership.
Now, right, I'll go ahead and stick it here. Now, you have some churches that are very active. I'm a member of Greater Second, and we are helping people get to the poll. So if there's somebody that's watching in the Little Rock area, please contact Greater Second Baptist Church. Now, make sure I said Greater Second Baptist. It's the Second Baptist, and there's a Greater. Contact Greater Second Baptist Church, and it's 501-569-5588. I think. But look it up. But contact the people. We are helping people get to the poll. Ton, I want to make sure that you jump in there, but I totally agree with everything you just said. There's so many things going on right now. A couple of months ago, I was doing some calling for the census. And you're calling people, and I realize I'm calling folks at a bad time. I don't care what time it is, it's a bad time. We're in the middle of a pandemic. And the loneliness, the mental health issues, a couple of folks actually if there was any food pantry that they could get food from. A couple of people were suffering with not being able to pay their rent. There are so many things going on right now. But honestly, maybe going out to vote is not somebody's priority right now. And I understand that, and we have to really be understanding about that and take that into account, that everybody should not be able to do it. But if you are able, and if you are willing, please go and vote. And like you said, if you can safely take somebody else to the polls with you, please do that. Now, of course, we're going to tell you to make sure you do your social distancing, make sure you keep your space in line, make sure you do all those things.
Wear your mask.
Yeah, wear your mask. Make sure you wear your mask. Maybe take just to be on the safe side in case you're spending a little longer than usual. But we don't have a choice. We have to vote this time like I like to do. We cannot have another person in that seat that allows us to go to a pandemic of this nature that could have had nothing could have been done about. We can't do this. And we also have to be really cognizant of things on our local level. And I know a lot of people go, well, it doesn't matter if I don't vote for the mayor or I don't vote for the city or councilman. Yes, it does. Those decide who paves their roads, or if your street gets paved, like Tony was talking about. Those folks are going to decide what your kid goes, how your kid goes back to school, whether they go back to a safe school or not. You still need to get up and know who is running your community. And if you don't see people out there, become more good. Sometimes it's up to you to get out the chair and get up and do it. So if you don't see a good candidate on the ballot, become that candidate on the ballot. Every step in the process and get out there and make a difference. Now let me shut up.
Hey, I've been enjoying you ladies. I know Wanda has a passion. I've been around her, and we have some passionate discussions in the office. And just listen to you, Miss Seals. You are so right. With everything that's going on in this country right now, I call it the perfect storm of chaos. It's the perfect storm of chaos. With the evictions, with we set a record for hurricanes. We've had remnants of 2 hurricanes that hit Arkansas. With tropical force winds and rain, and you got California burning on the west. You got the pandemic. You got all this going on, and it's a perfect storm of chaos. But you have to have chaos before you have to have calm. And I believe that this is the election. This is a time that calmness can be brought to this country if people are willing to get out and vote, if people are willing to get out and make a change, if people are willing to get out and say, enough is enough. Going back to something I said earlier, I don't know about anybody else, but like I said, I'm tired of paying people. You know, who in their right mind will pay someone to do work for them and they do a bad job and you continue to pay them anyway? And you continue to ask them to come over and work for you, knowing that everything they do, it becomes chaotic. Everything they do, it becomes broke down. Everything they do, it falls apart, but we continue to pay. And to give you a perfect example, so our governor, and normally I try not to call out politicians, but I'm going to do it this time. So our governor last week or week before last released $165 million into the workforce program, and he did it at a time when businesses were going to have to pay a higher tax, so payroll tax. So he put that money in so to help people who were still unemployed. Mind you, that there were some people who applied for unemployment back in March that didn't get it. Mind you, he stopped like 40,000 people. Just took their applications away because they thought they were fraud, and those people didn't get unemployment, and they still haven't got unemployment. Mind you, there was money that could have been given to renters assistance. That's money that could have been given to people to pay their rent or late fees. That's money that could have been given to communities or to people who were in need, but it didn't go there. It went to make sure that businesses would not have to pay a higher tax. See, that's what I'm talking about. I pay you a salary to do a job for me. You're the biggest welfare recipient in the state. You get a free house, you get free food. I pay for your transportation, I pay for your clothes, and then I pay you on top of that, and you won't even look out for my needs. And that's the attitude we have to start taking. It's time that we have to stand on the backs of so many people who laid their lives down so that we could have this voice. I was so proud yesterday when I looked at the news and I looked at Atlanta and I saw the lines. I heard people say, I waited in the line 8 hours to vote because it's so important. And that's what it's all about. People were beating, people were lynched, people were arrested, people did all types of so much so they could go and vote. And we have to take the mantle up. We have to go forward and say, you know what? It's time for a change. It's time for something different. And I'm like this. I know a lot of things are going on with people. I know there's a lot of issues. Like you said, voting may not be the most important thing on their minds right now. But a person has to sit and they have to realize I can either stay here and complain or I can take action and try to make change. And as a union organizer, the one thing I tell prospective members, don't complain to me if you're not willing to take action and change. I understand on your job you're being mistreated. I understand as a female you're not getting the wages that a male may get. I understand that you may not get get paid for all the work that you do. I understand that. But you're complaining to me. What we need to do is get together as a group, in strength, in numbers, and go and push for change to the people that are going to make the change. We have to push our politicians. We have to push our local officials. We have to push our mayors, our aldermen. Because why are you sitting up saying that you represent me in a ward and I can't even get you on the phone? Or when you drive through my neighborhood, you drive over the pothole, and when money is being diverted from your ward to somebody else's ward and you don't speak up for me, I have a problem with that. And we have to be proactive. We have to get involved more because we can make change. We can make a difference. They always talk about how this country is founded, how the people rose up, and overthrew, made sure that they were being heard. Well, what's stopping us? What's stopping us? The greatest weapon we have is our voice, and our voice has to be heard. Oh, well, I got to snap. Oh.
Snap it up, snap it up.
But that is so true. And one of the things I want to emphasize, the powers that be want to keep us divided, but we have to understand, because you know what? If you're not in that upper 2%, you in the same boat with the 98%. And the boat is sinking. The boat got holes. The boat is going down. We ain't got time to worry about whether you LGBTQ, whether you black, whether you white, whether you transgender, whether you all this other stuff, whether you Catholic, you Christian, you Muslim. We in a boat that's sinking, and either we get together and start bailing water, or we gonna be at the bottom. And so, we have to get past this divisiveness. We have to get tired of these labels. We have to get past this, because we have to come together. Because I'm not the greatest mathematician in the world, but I do know 98 is bigger than 2.
Right.
You are right about that. Y'all, there's so much stuff that can be said, and you, man, y'all have hit it all over the head for everything. Because we have to understand how important it is that we vote in local elections. And I love the part what you see in the accountability piece, because we do have to hold the people that we elect, we hire in these positions accountable. Too many people think we have career politicians, and I'm like, I'm not gonna call any names, but there are some people who need to go. I'm gonna say that to you. There are some people that need to go. If you're sitting in a seat, and I ain't gonna even say where the seat is.
I'm gonna say it's someone here in Little Rock.
Okay, but if you've been sitting in that seat, and you've been sitting in that seat for some years, and your neighborhood still has potholes in the street, your neighborhood still has bad drainage, your neighborhood does not have any new businesses coming into it. The businesses that are in your neighborhood are suffering because they can't get any money. Your crime level is up in your neighborhood, and you still got the same, I'm going to go on and say it, you still got the same city director. You need to vote that person out of there. It is some areas in town, and I don't even live in Little Rock anymore, but I'm going to say this because I got loved ones that do. There are some areas in town. Y'all need to get yourself together and go ahead and get this person out of there. Been sitting in the seat way too long. Their butt print is molded to that chair. And they have not done anything in that area. That part of town is steady going down. And I ain't got to tell you what part of town it is. If you think about it, you'll figure it out.
Yeah,
you need to get, what we say, seats, that's the butt that need to get out of the seat.
Right. Can I say something? On the accountability is so important, and we're from 2021 to 2020. I've been trying to hit the restart button, but it just had to hit a restart button. So hopefully 2020 will end on a good note, November the 3rd, because we're having a party on November the 3rd. So here's what I want to say about voting. Let me say this. I want to make a statement about voter suppression activities, and I want to talk about so let me say this about voter suppression. And I want everyone to hear this, because some of the voter suppression activities are so subtle. And so I just want to say to your listening audience, know that if you are registered to vote, you can vote. Mm-hmm. In the state of Arkansas, you do need a photo ID, okay? You need a government issue photo ID, okay? Take it with you. Early vote is possible. If possible, vote early. In Arkansas, we've got a whole week. It starts on October the 19th, okay? Monday through Friday at your, you just find out where you are. Most of these are at the courthouses, but in Little Rock and places, there's 7, 8, 9 locations, okay? And then on Saturday, now Saturday is 10 to 4, all across the state of Arkansas, okay? We have early vote. So you got 2 Saturdays that you can vote early. And then you've got Monday through Friday of the week that you can vote early, okay? And then you've got the Monday before Election Day that you can vote early. So here's what I'm saying to you. Make a plan to vote. When you go vote early, you be prepared. You may have to stand in line. And like Pastor Tony was saying, in some places in Georgia or somewhere, people were in line 7 and 8 hours. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be that way in Arkansas, okay? But if it is, my question to you, are you willing to stay in line 7 or 8 hours to vote, to cast your vote? And if you tell me no, you unfriend me on Facebook right now. I don't even want to have them conversations. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because y'all already know, and I'm not going to get on my soapbox about what our ancestors went through, okay? Some of our mamas and grandmamas.
Exactly.
See, we ain't that far removed from all that drama, okay?
Yes.
Or from all that type of suppression. We're not that far removed, okay? So our ancestors, many of them paid the ultimate price fighting just to have a right to vote. And so if I have to go to the polls and be inconvenienced 7 or 8 hours, I'm going to do it. Yep. If the line is that long, I'm going to do it. But here's the thing. Here's my point, y'all. If you go Monday and it's a 7, 8 hour wait, go Tuesday, go Wednesday, go Thursday. You got time. In Arkansas, we got a lot of time to vote in Arkansas. So I'm going to tell you, we don't have nothing to complain about in the state of Arkansas. We have the time. So what I want to encourage you all to do is to make a plan, okay? Figure out when you're going to go and take your little snack. If you're diabetic, take your little snack, take your peanut butter and crackers, okay? Y'all laughing, but this is real. This is real talk, okay? All I'm saying is be prepared, okay? Be prepared. Take your mask, and let me tell you what else you do. Take your lawn chair, because if the lines are long, you need to sit down. If your knees are weak and your hip is hurting or whatever, take your chair and sit down. If you want to vote, you can vote. Yep. Okay. Now we're hoping that we have record turnout in Arkansas. That's what we're hoping. So if we're going to have record turnout, we got to have record people at the polls voting. So all I want to say to the people, y'all, I love you. I love you. I really do. I love people. I'm a person. I'm a person of compassion and humanity, but I want y'all to make no excuses. Okay. Now I know COVID is scary. Trust me. I got that firsthand testimony about COVID, okay? So, but I'm going to tiptoe up there in my gear, okay? And I'm going to vote early. So please just have a plan. If you're going on Election Day, which is November the 3rd, definitely be prepared for long lines, okay? Be prepared. That's the point I want to drive home. And the other thing I want to drive home, if there are people standing out, in these lines when you go vote, talking about, y'all can't vote, don't listen to none of that foolishness, okay? If you are registered, you can vote, okay? Mm-hmm. I don't care if you are behind 5-10 years on child support. That has nothing to do with you voting. Okay, now that's a voter suppression thing that people will start this whisper campaign in certain smaller communities. Okay, now we're not gonna hear about that in Little Rock and Pine Bluff, but some of our other smaller communities, they use those kind of scare tactics. Okay, about child support. If you got parking tickets, you better be careful, because they're gonna get you when you get in there and sign to vote. That's not true. Voting is voting. There's nothing else attached to it. If you got warrants, that has nothing to do with you voting. Okay. Now y'all handle your business, but I just want to make sure that you understand that regardless, you have the right to vote.
And you know, and I'm glad you brought that up, Ms. Seals, because it is so important, because there are whispers like that stop people.
Oh yeah,
You know,
especially in our smaller rural communities. Oh yeah, it's real.
you know, I'm always once we get the right federal government in place, it
Yes,
really should be like most other countries that I visit. Election day is a off day. It's just a free day where you go vote. You know,
yeah,
it's basically
yeah.
a holiday. And you know, another thing we have to understand. A lot is being said about the absentee ballots, about the mail-in ballots, and all this weird. And I had to tell some people yesterday, you know, don't feel like there's going to be this great big challenge over these ballots, because if you invalidate a ballot, that means everybody on that ballot, every election in this country, would, in that state or in that county or whatever, if you disqualify those ballots or say they fraud or whatever, then every race is nobody wins any race. A lot of people are thinking that, well, if the president says that this is invalid and that the only thing that's going to be invalid on the ballot is the presidential election, and no, that can't be true. So a person voted, and you said they fraudulently voted, that every vote for on that ballot is out of place. So we can't get caught up in that rhetoric. What we have to do is stand our ground, like you said, Ms. Seals. We have to go out, and I'm like you. I've been telling everybody, early vote, early vote, early vote. Get out there, because on election night, I want to see some landslide numbers over certain things. And one other thing we can't forget about: there are some issues on the ballot here in the state of Arkansas that we can't ignore. There are some issues on the ballot here in Little Rock that we can't ignore, and so we have to be informed about those issues. I wish I had the time to go through each issues, but if you get in contact with Arkansas community organizations, they can tell you about every issue. But we sometimes we get focused on just the federal elections or other things. We don't get focused on these issues that they put on there. And one of the biggest issues is that they want to make it harder for people to get initiatives on the ballot. The two things that really drove these legislators crazy: minimum wage and medical marijuana. Because the people put those on the ballot, and they overwhelmingly won. And now the legislators are trying to figure out a way. We can't allow the people to put stuff on, because we can't control it. And for those who don't remember, when the minimum wage, the legislators tried to come back and say, well, no, people with disabilities can't get the minimum wage. And if you're a senior citizen, you can't get it. Students can't get it. And we had to go as a hold up. This was voted on by the people. You cannot change it. And so we have to be careful with these initiatives. We have to make sure that we are vetted and have information about them to make sure that we can make an informed decision about these issues. Because some people don't even vote on the issues. They vote everything else and leave the issues alone.
Okay, am I muted?
No.
I'm unmuted. Okay. So let me say this, Pastor Tony. We are those issues. It'd be great if we could do that, but I know we don't have time here. But we are just, if I could put this plug in, on Friday night at 6, and we're going to put on my Facebook tomorrow advertisement. State Representative Vivian Flowers and I will be hosting a voter empowerment webinar, and it will be Facebook Live.
Okay.
And we're doing a sample ballot. We're going through the ballot, and we're talking about issue 1, 2, and 3.
Good.
It's gonna be lit. It's gonna be lit. Yeah. Friday night at 6 on my Facebook page.
Yeah, if Vivian is in it, it's gonna be lit.
Yeah. So she.
Make sure you post that event and share that with us so we can help promote that.
Yeah, I'm going to the flyers ready. We're gonna post it tomorrow, and So it's going to be good because it's information, and we're just trying to empower people with knowledge. Mm-hmm. Now we're going to explain it, Pastor Tony, and we're going to try not. I think we've decided not to. We're not going to do any endorsements. We're not doing that. Representative Flowers will do something separate. Independently, but my key thing is the information. We're going to present the information. We're going to talk about the candidates, just like who's on the ballot. One of the things that has been brought to my attention is the intimidation of this ballot by first-time voters. And so we're trying to do a massive something to educate first, and not just first-time voters. I mean, you vote every 2 years, and so people go in to vote for president, and then they see these. It's like 13 names of people who made the ballot in Arkansas. Yeah. So it's the Republican Party, the Democratic Party. You got 13 different names, so that can kind of throw people, be a little intimidating. So we're going to literally go through the ballot Friday night, okay? And not tell people who to vote for, but just who's on the ballot, okay? So anyway, thank you. I guess that was just a shameless plug I put in. I'm just realizing it, but, it's for the people. It's for the people.
But, and Wanda, I want to respond to something you said about our city director. You've been holding that seat too long. When the seat has Social Security retirement,
yeah, better stop.
When the seat itself that you've been sitting in for all these years, when it qualifies, when it reaches age of retirement. But that's the thing.
Y'all need to organize. That's what you need to organize.
That's organize. Nobody needs to be sitting in a chair that long.
I want to say, I think I lived in Little Rock for 33 years. That person has been sitting in that no joke for 30 years.
Because you know what? They feel it's their seat and not
they do.
Yeah,
they do.
And that's when it becomes a problem. But the people, if he or she, whoever is not doing what they need to do, they need to get them out. They need to get them
out. That seat needs to be thrown out. Everything out.
And get a new chair.
That chair is tired, man.
Y'all are funny.
Every time I see re-election, I'm going, are you freaking kidding me? Come on, somebody, come. Somebody just run. Just run. I support whoever it is. I promise I will.
I know. But I agree with you.
Yeah, it's time to retire that chair and the person in it. I'm serious. It's too much. But anyway, now we got about 2.5 minutes. I want to make sure that you go ahead and do your shameless plug again.
Do what now?
I said, go ahead and do your shameless plug again.
Yeah, okay, great. That was definitely a shameless plug. It's all about educating the people. So, So again, and I'll post this on my Facebook page tomorrow, and I'll tag people. But at 6 p.m. on Friday, this Friday, State Representative Vivian Flowers and I will be hosting and I forget the name of it, but it's a voter empowerment piece. We're going to talk about the ballot. We're going to talk about the initiatives, the 3 initiatives, and we are going to talk about election day protection.
Yes.
What do you do when you have a problem on election day? So those are the 3 issues we're going to cover. And of course, we will, I don't know if we will, we'll try to manage our questions like that come in through Facebook. But we're going to try to do an hour, just depending. It may go to an hour and a half, but that's Friday at 6 o'clock on my Facebook page. So we look forward. So just pass the word, guys. If it'll be good information for statewide, Arkansas statewide. So, and thank you, Wonder, for inviting me to be a part of this conversation. It's been very interesting. It has been enlightening, hopefully, for those who are watching it. and hopefully somebody is inspired to go vote and take other people with them to vote. So thank you for the opportunity, and it's been my pleasure to meet both of you.
You too. I'm going to give you last word.
Oh, well, thank you, ladies. I just want to, I don't have any shameless plugs, but I will follow your plug and just tell everybody look forward to that on Friday night. Wanda, I just want to thank you. Ms. Seals, thank you for letting me be a part of this. You ladies are so passionate, and you have inspired me tonight, motivated me. So I'm going to get some people out to vote.
Yay! Well, I am just grateful to both of you all for being here tonight. Now, I have a shameless plug. My shameless plug is that y'all know that I'm on every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. We're going to have 2 shows next week. I'll have another show. We'll be talking about pandemic, the education during pandemic. We're getting into that first 9 weeks of school, and just want to touch bases with the ladies. We had 5 educators on earlier in school, before school started, and want to make sure that we touch bases with them just to kind of see what is happening in the schools and how the kids are progressing. And I can tell you that I know some that are struggling. I know that there are some kids that are having the worst time ever in trying to keep up with virtual learning. But we want to kind of get to gauge what happened in the first 9 weeks and where the kids are. That'll be next Tuesday night at 7 p.m. And then that following Wednesday, the 21st, we're going to have Terry Hollingsworth on, who is Pulaski County. Oh my God, I said
Pulaski County Clerk.
Thank you. Because I was like, Pulaski County Clerk. And she's going to be talking about voting and getting people to the polls also. So make sure that you tune in next Tuesday at 7 p.m. And we're going to be talking about education during the pandemic. And then next Wednesday at 3 p.m., that's a special edition show of the ladies down to 3 p.m. Wednesday 21st. And my guest will be Miss Terry Hollingsworth, Pulaski County Clerk. Again, thank you all for sticking with us. We've gone over our little hour, but hey, you can show up go long. But I appreciate you all so much. I appreciate you taking your time out this evening. And y'all say we're all inspired to do better. We're inspired to get some people.
That's right.
To educate our families and our friends about the issues, and making sure that we educate them about the candidates, and that we just get out and vote. I, for one, I will have a bottle of water. I will have and a book and my phone.
Yeah. That's where you go.
There you go.
Take your sack lunch.
Yeah, thank you. I'm looking for no folks to get a week after they don't eat for so long.
Yeah.
And I will share. I'm gonna make sure I got a little bit of extra.
There you go.
Make sure you have some of that fish.
But thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. I've enjoyed the show. I've enjoyed the conversation even more so. Nice to meet you, Ms. Fields, finally, and Tony. It's a pleasure.
Always.
All right, and then I have to have y'all back on after the election. We'll have a party.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Okay.
We'll get y'all back on. And if y'all hang on, we're going to go ahead and sign off. Good night to everybody. Thank you all again for tuning in. Come back next week, 7 p.m. Tuesday night for the latest sound from Wonder Lowe. Talk to y'all soon.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.